I picked some raspberries today out of the garden. I've got 2 or 3 raspberry sticks, plants, whatever you want to call them, in the garden, but I've got autumn raspberries. Autumn raspberries come in the autumn, unlike obviously summer raspberries. The reason I've got autumn raspberries is because I've got some strawberries, and the strawberries come in July, and I don't want the raspberries to come until later because I just don't have the time to do loads and loads of things with both of them at the same time. So anyway, I picked some autumn raspberries today, and there's probably, not quite sure how many there is, but if I weigh them, and you can see that I'm weighing them here. If I get my scales to 0, I mean, if you've got some fancy scales, you just set it to 0, and then just pop them in, see how many. So I've got roughly about 400 grams. And the great thing with raspberry jam is it's one of the easiest jams you can make, because you don't need any fancy ingredients, you don't need any fancy equipment. Some people don't like raspberry jam because of the seeds, but at the end of the day, this jam is practically free. So if your kids like jam, or you like baking and you want jam in your cakes, then this is a good one to do, especially as it has so few ingredients in it. So I've got 400 grams of raspberries, and I'm just going to put them in standard saucepan, which is, I have no idea what size it is, but you can see 400 grams isn't a lot. You know, we're not making raspberry jam for the world, we're just making it for us. So I pop those in there, and I don't add anything else. I'm going to put them on the cooker, and I'm going to bring them up to a slow boil. But before I do that, I'm going to take my sugar. I buy big bags of sugar because I'm always doing things, and it's cheaper to buy in bulk. Not that expensive, but you know, it's just cheaper to buy in bulk. So I'm going to use ordinary granulated sugar, just set my scales back to 0. And with raspberry jam, I'm not going to do the science bit, but it's basically the same amount in sugar as it is to fruit. So I've got 400 grams of raspberries, and I'm going to do 400 grams. So here we go, 400 grams of sugar. Now the reason I'm measuring this out now is because what makes this so quick is that we're going to warm the sugar before we add it to the jam, to the raspberries. And the way in which I do that is I just take a tray with a bit of greaseproof paper on it. You could have brown paper on it. I wouldn't use kitchen roll because it might get a bit soggy. But all you're going to do, you could do it on a clean tray, but my trays aren't particularly clean. So I'm just putting mine, spreading the sugar on a tray. Just get rid of some of the lumps. And I'm just spreading it out. Don't spread it out too far, because when you come to put it in your raspberries, you'll pick the greaseproof up and it'll just go everywhere. And I'm going to pop that in the oven, but I'm only going to have the oven on very, very low. So I'll put all the temperatures and everything at the end. But what I want to do is I want to just warm this through. It'll help to make the jam clearer, and it'll also quicken the process up. Back in a minute. So there you go. So there's my sugar. I've got it on, well, it's a bit too high actually, but that's because I put it on high to warm it up. But I'm going to go down to about 50-60 degrees and shut the door. And my raspberries I'm going to put on the hob. Like I said, we're not going to add anything. We're just literally going to warm them through. So I'm just going to switch my cooker on, get the right one. There we go. Now I'm not going to put it on high. We don't want to boil it to death and then it all stick to the pan. I'm just going to put it on low, nice and low. I'm just going to gently warm them through and then bring them up to the boil. And I'll come back to you when we're at boiling. What I also forgot to tell you, we need a couple of recycled jam jars. Excuse my bananas. These are a couple of jars that have been used and reused. They've been in the dishwasher. They are clean. However, we always put hot jam into hot jars. So whilst my sugar's warming, I'm going to just pop those in there. I mean, really, they ought to go on another tray, but I'm only using the little oven because I'm only doing a couple. You won't need many jars for about 400 grams of raspberry jam. So I'm giving my raspberries a bit of a stir. Just gently keep moving them around a little bit. I don't need to go mad. I just want to keep them moving, because you can see even on a low heat they soon start to bubble. Okay, so we just want these to gently break down in the pan. I'm not quite on the lowest setting, but already you can see when I part them that the liquid's starting to come out. Nothing else in here. These are just raspberries. 400 grams of raspberries. You can see some of them are more ripe than others. Doesn't matter. Obviously, we don't want anything nasty in there, so they got a rinse. But just gently keep moving them around until they start to really break down and bubble. Back in a mo. Keep your eye on your sugar. We don't want it too hot. Okay, you can see now that they're really broken down. I have just, if there's some of the slightly underripe ones, I have just given them a bit of a pat down. But as you can see there, they're all broken down now. Whilst that's not quite at boiling, I'm just going to take my sugar out of the oven. And that's nice and warm. Not hot, but warm. I can touch it without it burning me, but it's nice and warm. Okay, I'm just going to pop these jars that I put on the bottom of my oven just onto the actual tray. Okay. So we're still not quite there. I might just turn it up a tad because I do want it to bubble. It's got a bubble. Like a bit of bubble. If you can see that. Can you see it's just starting to bubble now around the edges? But we want it to bubble in the middle. It won't take long. You might see a bit of like white film on the top. It's just a bit of scum. We can take that off in a bit. Don't worry about that. So what I'm going to do now, we're just coming up. It's starting to bubble in the middle. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my sugar. And this is why I said don't spread it out too far. I'm just going to tip it in. I mean, it's got to all go in, but as soon as you've got it in, you need to be stirring, giving it a good stir. Okay, let's see if I can get that to stay up without falling down. There we go. So it needs to stir, 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 because we need all of the sugar to melt, but we don't want it. We don't want it to burn on the bottom. So I'm still on quite a low setting. Okay, but because of the way that the way that raspberries are so easy to make into jam, we don't need any special thermometers or anything. We just need to keep an eye on it, keep stirring it. You can sometimes feel a bit of sugar around the edges, maybe scrape around the edges of the pan, but you can see that that is now, that's lovely, isn't it? Look, it's got a bit clearer. You can see all the little bits in it. They're all the seeds. They're all the seeds. Okay, so we need that to boil now, and it's not going to take very long. So I'm going to just turn the heat up a fraction. I mean, we're literally, it's not that not that high. You can see, I don't really see from my thing, it's not that, oops. Okay, that's high, I'm about half of that. Okay, a little bit more, just keep turning it up a little bit at a time until we get to that boiling point. Once we start boiling, 3 minutes max. Probably won't even need that, but we'll do 3 minutes. Okay, I'm still stirring all the time, and we can see now, you may be able to see, I'll just bring the camera a bit closer. There you go. You can see now that that's really bubbling nicely. Now, this is where you've got to keep your eye on it, because we don't want it to boil so high. So I'm just going to turn it down a fraction, and I'm going to time it. 3 minutes. Put 3 minutes on my timer. You can see that bit in the middle there? That's scum. But again, we'll get rid of that in a bit. So we're going to let it boil. Now, when it's bubbling, we don't stir it. Okay, we just keep an eye on your temperature. You don't want it to boil over. If you think it's going to boil over, just pull it away till it's gone back down, and then put it back on. Okay, so this is called a rolling boil. And you can see that the jam itself is just literally turning itself over. It's rolling and it's boiling. So for goodness sake, don't put your finger in it. Okay, it started to go down a bit because I turned the heat down. So I'm just going to up that temperature a little bit. Okay, we've had a minute now, so we've got another couple of minutes. I'm not going to stir it, because if I stir it, I put the spoon in it, it'll go whoom, up. So I'm just going to keep it going. There we go. We've got that rolling boil back again. The little stuff around the edges, if you can see that, that's just sugar. You're going to get that. So 1 minute 50 to go. Okay, we've got about a minute left. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the jars out that are still in the oven, only on a very warm, set on a, you know, it's not boiling hot, but they will be hot because obviously they're glass. So I'm going to take the jars out. I've only done 2. I might need another one. If so, in fact, I might just pop one in just in case. Again, these have been through the dishwasher, so they are clean. It's a bigger one. But just in case I need it, I'll pop that one in there. 36 seconds to go. We've still got this rolling boil. We've got a little bit of residue around the edges, but I seem to have got the temperature right. It's quite low. It's not high. I would say it's about 1/4 of the way, the dial. You can see it's nice rich red as well. 18 seconds. So I've got a little funnel. It is for jam, but you don't have to use these. If you're really good at tipping things in, then that's great. But I tend to use one of these. You can get them smaller because this one's a bit big. There we go. This one's a bit big for this, but I can hold it on. So I'm just going to pop that on there. I'm not going to touch the jar because I don't want to transfer anything to it. So now I'm going to switch off my raspberry jam. Go down a bit, because when I put my spoon in, oh yes, you can see it bubbles more, which is why I didn't want to do it. Just giving it a stir, because I don't want any that's on the bottom to remain on the bottom. I want to make sure that it's all smooth and it's all mixed in. You can test it to see if it's ready, but raspberry jam you really don't need, as long as you've had a good 3 minutes, and you can actually see that that is quite a lot thicker. Okay, we've still got a bit of scum on the bottom. Now that scum now is a combination of probably just a little bit of fermented sugar. To be honest with you, unless you're doing this for show, I'd leave it as it is. Some people put a little bit of butter in, that'll disperse it, but I can't see the point personally, not when we're doing just a couple of jars. If I was doing it for a competition, oh my goodness me, yeah, it'd be, you know, whatever. So then removing it from the heat, and I don't know if you can see that, but already the jam is starting to thicken in this pan. You can see little clumps of jam at the top there. It does go off very quickly. Well, that I mean it sets really quickly. So I'm just going to tip some in there. Let me just take the camera out to show you. Okay, so you can see, no you can't, can you see? There. So you can see I've more or less filled that to the top, but I have left a gap. Okay, this one might be a little bit more difficult. Let's see if I can do it without. There you go. Just there. I might just top that up a little bit. Now I've got a little bit left. Like I said, I knew I was going to have a bit left. So what I'm going to do is I've got where are we? In my glass cupboard, I've got a little coupe, and I'm just gonna put the rest of that in there, and we'll have that over the next few days. Oh, sorry, steamed you up. So there we go. So I've got a coupe that's half full there, and then I've got these two here. The heat and everything will suck all the air out of that, and that will go tight, and you won't be able to do that, which is why when you come to open it you get that popping sound. So if you want to have a go at jam making, don't think you've got to have stacks of equipment. Don't think you've got to have stacks of specialised equipment. You don't need sugar thermometers and all manner of things, jelly bags and stuff. Not for raspberry jam. It's one of the quickest jams you can make. Probably took 10-15 minutes. And once it's cool, they're ready to eat. Instant. Enjoy.